Richard, would you like to call the meeting to order?
I can call the meeting to order, but I have no agenda to continue.
Yes, I apologize. Um, Hi everyone. Thanks for hopping on this call. We have just two agenda items today. One is very simple, so I figured we'd start with that. Um, we are working on a project in Lake Carmi State Park on a wetland restoration project. We are um, We've already completed the first step, which is the 30% design, and now we are working on contracting an engineer for the 100% design. Typically, we include in our original 30% design request that people give us some sort of amount that they think would be appropriate for the next stage. We forgot to do it on this one. And so we've only been working with Fitzgerald Environmental. Um, sorry. Originally, Fitzgerald Environmental and Du Bois and King had put in proposals for the 30% design, and we went with Fitzgerald. You all went with Fitzgerald. And we worked with Fitzgerald to figure out what the final design cost for an engineer should be. They've provided us with a quote of $12,600. Within our procurement policy as it currently stands, anything between $10,000 and $25,000. Purchases may be processed without quotations. Awards can be made without securing competition following approval by a majority of the Board of Supervisors if it is determined that the price received is reasonable. The district is not precluded from obtaining quotes from more than one vendor if the user suspects that the price is not reasonable or determines that it is in the best interest of the district. So my request to you all, I believe that $12,600 is a very reasonable amount of money for this level of design. We have only received one quote, but you are able to approve that if you so choose. You are also welcome not to. But I think my request today is for you to approve it, us contracting with them because the price is very reasonable.
Lauren, do we need to go into executive session for these conversations?
I don't think so, but
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay,
Do you want to hear a motion for okaying this project?
I'll make a
Major?
motion that we go with is it Fitzgerald
It is.
for this project, given that it's the only quote we have and it's within our procurement policy guidelines to do so.
Do I have a second on that motion?
I'll second.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay.
I'll second it. Linda.
Thank you very much.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carried.
Wonderful. Thank you all. The next one's a little bit more complicated. Um, so this is the Johnson's Mill Dam, which we took out in 2021 and have been monitoring each year. Oh, here's Molly. Oh, I'm going to pause for a moment while Molly settles in. All right. Um, so the Johnson's Mill Dam in 2021 was removed in Bakersfield. We've been monitoring it annually for the past 5 years. There is severe erosion happening at this site, and the goals of the dam removal to reconnect the channel of the stream channel to the floodplain to do ecosystem restoration has not worked. And so we're kind of coming back to this site now to scratch our head a little bit and figure out what the best path forward is because the erosion is proceeding at a concerning rate towards infrastructure. For some additional context, we are also working with the Vermont Housing Conservation Board and Vermont Land Trust and the Bakersfield Conservation Commission to conserve the whole parcel and turn it into a town forest for the town of Bakersfield. So, all good stuff. as long as there's a site to have if the erosion doesn't get the better of us. Um, and so we have a grant from the Lake Champlain Basin Program to come back to the site, figure out what's going on, and kind of play around a little bit with how we want to address it. We have three excellent firms with excellent quotes that vary slightly. So, for this project. So I don't think any of them are the wrong choice. And that's almost making this much harder. I'm going to share my screen with the comparison I came up with.
Is the original contractor bidding on this too?
So Stone did the original design. They have also done the construction oversight during the dam removal. They have also been the lead engineer on the monitoring study for the past 5 years. I will say their staff in all of those steps has changed. So we've been working with a different person at each phase.
Is the company overall still owned by the same individuals?
Stone is a worker cooperative, worker-owned cooperative. So yes, it's largely the same people in leadership.
So do you see a continuance from that group or no? Even though their price at this point is better too.
So I think they would obviously have the closest relationship to the site. Um,
By that, you mean the most familiar.
yes,
Okay.
they would be the most familiar with the site.
Okay.
I also just want to state for the record, I previously worked for SLR. So I just want to name that as we proceed. We have worked with all three firms in the past. Oops. Sorry. All of them have worked on Lake Champlain Basin program grants before. The SLR firm is definitely the most experienced with dam removals. They've done over 50. The others, from what I can tell from their proposals, are between 4 and 5. And again, we're not taking the dam out still, but we're dealing with the impacts of the dam removal that was previously done. Sorry, these should all be bold. There's a
I'm
little,
just gonna pop in there and say, but boy, that would be about all you need to tell me. Because you're already in the problematic stage, you're past the removal stage. Now you're in the downstream effect stage. And the difference between 50 dam removals and the downstream effects versus 4 and the downstream effects is huge, just from a knowledge base thing. Just wanted to say.
If I could just add that they're widely considered some of the strongest river scientists in the world at SLR. So I think that nothing wrong with any of these firms. I agree with, and the prices are all very, very similar, within what, $4,000 of each other, which is amazing. But I don't think we can go wrong with any of the firms, but I will also back up SLR and my knowledge of their work and how strong it is in fluvial geomorphology.
Thank you. There was a couple other nuances in their proposals. They did also predict future engineering costs. There is a significant difference there. SLR is quite a bit higher in their range than the other two. Um,
Can you explain future engineering costs?
Go ahead.
Can you explain future
Yes.
engineering costs, please?
So that's the prediction of how much additional grant money it would take to do the actual final design work and all of the permitting, and then to do the construction oversight later on. Um,
So that's the whole thing completed, planning and execution.
for the engineer, that does not include any of like the contractor to come move the sediment or anything like
Wow.
that.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a lot.
It is.
And since that other group, I don't see the heading now, is it Stone?
Sorry. Stone.
Yeah, worked on the project and are coming back. Now they're familiar with the project. I realized, like Vicky said, the other one's done 50, but they didn't do this one. And you don't get to 50 by jumping to somebody else. This group has to learn also, but they could do it in a more monetary feasible way for us to be able to utilize them instead of the higher priced one.
What do we know about Stone?
So they did the original dam removal. They did all the monitoring. This is the only project we've ever worked with them on this site.
So let's back up just for a second, drawing on my wealth of knowledge on this topic, which is minimal. Um, are they responsible in any way for the unexpected negative results if they did the removal? I'm asking as a layperson,
So what I'll say, I wasn't here when this project started.
Good.
It's my understanding that we were encouraged to choose Stone early on to expand the number of folks who were doing dam removals in Vermont. And it's also my understanding at the time that regulators approved of this dam removal being a bit experimental in terms of leaving more sediment behind than normal.
Hmm.
It's my understanding in the 5 years since then, regulators would not have approved this design because of some of the lessons learned here and in other spots. So I think there's some combination that Stone had a design that was designed to minimize costs by minimizing the amount of sediment removed.
Hmm.
Um,
Lesson learned.
But it
I
was
think
approved. So now the other
it was
people coming
approved.
back on
It was
the
permitted.
2020 thing. Yeah, hindsight's 2020.
Yep. Yep. I understand.
So I don't put them to fault for that.
Okay.
Now, can I ask a question? Are
Yeah.
the other bids, let's see, so we've got the one company, the SL something.
Yep.
Are they, and they're like leaving in this future caveat. Probably because they've done 50 projects and they know that this could happen. Are the other bids not including such a further possibility?
I will say it's my understanding that SLR is generally more expensive than the other firms. Um, on most projects. We are working with them. They're doing our dam removal in Berkshire, the Trout Brook Reservoir dam removal. That's still kind of going on right now. Um, and they are more expensive.
I wouldn't have as much problem if they had done the project in the first place.
They wanted to. They did bid on it. They've been out to the site 5 times since removal. They've always been, they also bid on the monitoring contract. But I think the theory then from the board was that folks wanted to stay with Stone because they had designed it.
Which makes sense since they designed it. And
I was
I
the
look at it,
person, sorry, go
FLR is
ahead.
coming in there and saying, I told you so.
I mean, I think we might be at that point though.
Beyond the point of I told you so?
Yeah.
Yeah,
In other
that's
words,
what I'm concerned about. More experience means, you know, more options laid on the table, more things that they're leaving themselves and us open to because they know more, because they've had their own mistakes and so forth. So I'm just worried about going again with a company who, who we did have, like Dan said, a negative outcome with. Now, whether that was in the cards, no matter who did the job, or whether it was a design flaw, whatever, I don't know. I just think if you've already seen one negative outcome, you don't go with somebody who has 4 experiences compared to somebody who has 50. I don't know.
Can I
I will
ask one
also
more?
add, sorry, go ahead, Dan.
Just another question. What are we assuming any risks regardless of who we hire?
At this point in time, nothing in this grant makes us liable for anything that happens at the site.
Okay. That's all right. That kind of
Um,
makes me feel a little better.
yeah.
It's a little waffly in the answer, but I'll take that.
It will eventually depend on the funding source of the implementation. So when we actually go to do something about it,
Hmm.
which funding source
Okay.
and what the requirements are there can be a little bit more nuanced.
All right.
Lauren, is it fair to say that FEA has not had a lot of experience doing this kind of work?
yeah.
It's my understanding they've worked on 4 dam removals at least. Um, and they're definitely very well versed in stream and floodplain restoration projects.
Mm-hmm.
I will also add just a couple more bits of nuance. I did reach out to Karina Daly, who is the head of the Vermont Dam Task Force, and she was also listed as a reference for definitely SLR and Stone in their proposals. And I sent Karina the 3 proposals, and she what recommended working with SLR based on their proposal. And then one other piece of information is that Stone added in doing some soil borings and subsurface investigation in the driveway that is being threatened for erosion. And that was a unique feature of their proposal. Karina did think that this might be too early of a stage to need that, and that might be something you do in a future stage. So not necessarily a selling point for her. Um, Fitzgerald has an end date of January of 2028. SLR currently has a predicted end date of December 2026. Honestly, that feels a little ambitious to me, but I like it better than January of 2028. And then Stone did not provide a schedule.
It's a huge difference when they're guaranteeing us that they're going to charge at least 105,000. That's their lowball estimate, right? For
Correct.
engineering after we pay them 50 for this engineering.
Correct.
And that's wow. Um, it
That is a
seems
lot.
seems
That
like
is
a
a lot.
big difference between that and 38 and 54 or 45 and 60. If we're gonna basically, if we're talking Chrysler Dodge, you know.
Is it okay? Can you help me understand? Is this thing, this $100,000 thing, is that something that one of these other companies is likely to come back and say, okay, now you need this later on? They're just not saying it now.
No, I mean,
It's not impossible. Um,
And I still think that Stone has the most knowledge of this project. And to me, that you would learn from what didn't go correctly and be able to correct it, as opposed to walking into somebody else's
Problem.
problem. There you go.
Yeah.
I will also add that Stone has worked with Friends of Northern Lake Champlain on a lot of projects and typically go above and beyond with whatever is needed to make the project work for no additional funds. It's been my experience. So I mean, like I said, I don't think we can go wrong with any of these three firms. Great relationships with all of them. They're all great. We won't have the Du Bois and King problem we had with any of these. So, I'm comfortable with Lauren. I mean, I'm guessing you would like us to go with SLR because that's what Karina suggested. And you don't want to continue to go down a path of maybe Stone not really fully understanding what they're doing. But maybe we can pitch to them that they consult with somebody who's more experienced.
Oh boy.
Not
Vicky, we just lost you.
a good idea.
We lost
Did
the
you hear
last
me?
couple of sentences.
Okay. I don't know. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Nope. I just said that maybe we can. I don't think any of the firms are all great. Stone has a reputation of making things work, even if it's not
Right.
within the original budget. That's been my experience. And maybe we can ask Stone to consult with SLR on design or the state to make sure. I mean, the state's gonna have to permit the final design anyway, but this exploratory stuff, we want to make sure they reach out to people who know more than they do about doing this if we hire them.
Can I add, so it seems like this future cost is really what's challenging folks. I'm also happy to reach back out to SLR to understand those costs a little bit more. If that's a
What,
question people would like answered.
what's the timeline on when does this decision need to be made?
The sooner the better, but there is not a hard deadline.
Okay. I mean, all right.
I still would go with Stone to the familiarity of the project and help. They would learn from this, hopefully, and be able to correct the issue. And you don't learn from not making mistakes. That's how you learn.
Well, it certainly would show faith in their abilities and you'd think they'd work harder to get it right this time.
Yep.
If we back them, that's definitely building a long-term relationship. Um, hmm.
Molly's also in the room with me now. Molly, do you have any thoughts?
Oh, hi, Molly.
Hey, Molly.
Hi, guys. No,
So-
I mean, I think it's it's a lot to say to give it back to Stones and let them finish the job that they are knowledgeable about, but I don't know.
Well, I'm ready to hear a motion to contract Stone for the rest of this project. Or I'll make it.
Do we have Vicky and Linda on, or did they drop off?
I'm still here,
Ah, okay.
just trying to reduce my
Sure,
bandwidth.
sure.
I'm still here.
All right, I'll make a motion that we go with Stone for this portion of the contract.
I could second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
Okay.
Alrighty. I will reach out to Stone and get that moving.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. That was all I had for the agenda today. Yeah, just trying to keep some balls in the air.
Lauren,
So,
did you ever get feedback from Du Bois and King on the other project?
Yes. Would folks like to move into executive session?
I just want to bring up that tomorrow there's a finance committee meeting to vote on the two projects you've got out there. One, I won't be able to attend, and two, it didn't make any difference because I got to recuse myself.
Sorry, I cut out for a minute there and didn't hear you the
Okay.
beginning.
Tomorrow morning, I'm supposed to have a finance committee meeting. I
Yep.
won't be able to attend because of a conflict, but it doesn't make any difference because I'm not going to vote for it because they're both for Franklin County. Those two proposals you've got in there.
Okay.
So I pitched it, that they're good projects and we'll get them done to their satisfaction. I left it at that.
Okay. Thank you very much.
a minor, just toss it out for your office. If anybody would like to come get some ramps, they're popping up everywhere before the
Here-
black flies show up.
Carrie did mention that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them.
Awesome.
And
Thank
they're
you.
yummy. So,
Lauren, is there any reason why we should discuss Du Bois and King today, or can it wait to the next board meeting in May?
It can certainly wait until May, and I might actually have some more information for you then, from
Okay.
Fitzgerald about the puzzle pieces we're trying to put together.
Okay,
as it stands now, Lauren, the May meeting, I'm going to be filming a lacrosse game away.
Okay.
So the games have been flexing. So, with the weather.
Sure.
So that's, yeah.
What's the date of the next meeting?
The date of the next
Mm,
meeting
I've got May 6th.
is May 6th.
Good.
Do we have Richard, Vicky, Linda, and Molly?
I can come. Yeah.
could work for me too.
Okay. I will hold that for now, but if anybody else cannot make it, please let me know as soon as possible and we will reschedule.
Sorry. It's a short
That's okay.
season.
Oh, I know.
But I don't think it depends on if we have a quorum or not. If we have a
Right.
quorum, we'll continue.
Okay.
We'll
Wonderful.
just have to make do with Dan not being there.
Lauren, the seedling sale is next weekend. Do you need help?
We will take anyone's help at any time next week.
Okay, we plan to be home on Wednesday, so I could help Thursday and Friday probably.
That would be great. Yeah, let's connect. I know I'm trying to give everybody one day off next week, so let's just make sure I don't bring you in on the day everybody's out.
Okay, all right.
That
So
East
definitely, I
Hill,
can't do it before Thursday, so.
Okay.
that East Hill tree farm was really pretty cool.
Yeah, thanks for
Nice-
going out there.
nice
It is
people.
cool, right?
Yeah, it's a beautiful spot and
Yeah.
really nice people,
Yeah.
bunch of tree huggers, but very knowledgeable. So,
Yes.
We all are, Dan.
well, yeah, I
You
don't
know?
say it in a
It's
purgative manner.
Happy Earth Day,
Maybe
everybody.
Yes,
Yes.
happy Earth Day. We had a volunteer planting today that went so well. It was done at 1.
Awesome.
So
Wow.
we're trying to get the rest of the trees in the ground everywhere else too.
Mm.
So the business pretty much done for today.
Yes.
I
Okay,
make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Have a good rest of your day.
Thanks,
Perfect. Thank
everybody.
you.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Like.